Get ready, start. Professor Muchkund Dubey, President Professor Shanta Sinha, Chairperson Managing Committee Professor Sujit Kumar Mishra, Regional Director in charge Dr. Sunny Jose, RBI Chair Professor, Faculty and Staff of the Council for Social Development, Hyderabad, hereafter CSD, students, researchers, and faculty joining this event from various universities and research institutions across the country, colleagues, and friends. It is indeed an honor to share my thoughts today under the prestigious C.D. Deshmukh Memorial Lecture Series instituted by the CSD since 1997 for the Reserve Bank of India, hereafter RBI. This lecture series has a special significance. Late Shri Chintaman Dwarka Nath Deshmukh was the first Indian governor of the RBI from August 11, 1943 to June 30, 1949. His association with the RBI began even earlier in July 1939 when he was appointed liaison officer to the RBI by the Government of India. 3 months later, he was appointed secretary of the Central Board of the bank. 2 years later, in December 1941, as the deputy governor and then governor on August 11, 1943. He presided over the transformation of the RBI from a private shareholders bank to a nationalized institution. Under his stewardship, a comprehensive legislation for the regulation of banking companies was enacted. Another landmark legislation under his leadership led to the establishment of the first financial institution for the provision of long-term credit to industry, namely the Industrial Finance Corporation of India (IFCI). He also played an important role in the Bretton Woods Conference in New Hampshire, USA in July 1944, which established the International Monetary Fund (IMF) and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development (IBRD) or the World Bank. His vision and ideas still resonate in the corridors of the RBI. Among his many outstanding contributions to society at large, late Shri Deshmukh and his wife, late Shrimati Durgabai Deshmukh, played a pioneering role in the establishment of the CSD in 1962 as a leading research and policy studies institution. Today, it is a matter of national pride that the CSD engages in policy oriented research with a special focus on social aspects of development planning, social justice, and equity. Research at the CSD continues to evaluate the diverse impacts of policies on the relationship between the state and people. Our association with the CSD also goes back to 1985 when the RBI chair professorship was established. It is a matter of considerable satisfaction that many of our officers have been associated with the CSD in their self actualization. Against this backdrop, I turn to the theme of my address today, which is the RBI's response to the pandemic 2. When COVID-19 engulfed the world in early 2020, humans had become oblivious of pandemics past. Yet 100 years ago and before, between 1817 and 1920, cholera, plague, and influenza pandemics had visited the world repeatedly and wreaked havoc. Of the estimated 70 million lives lost worldwide, roughly the same as the casualties of the two world wars, India had accounted for nearly 60%, and yet somehow we had erased those memories. After all, astonishing progress had been made in the control of diseases, food and nutrition were more plentifully available, and we had learned to deal with natural calamities more effectively. As a result, longevity, which was as low as 25 years in 1920, had risen to 70 years by 2023. If we had remembered, we would have prepared for the fact that influenza can evade pre existing immunity by mutations. We would have recalled that infections occur in waves. In the case of the 1918 influenza pandemic, up to 4 waves occurred, lasting up to 1920. Our consciousness would have strayed to the fact that beyond the usual symptoms of fever and body pain, infections turn pneumonic quickly, allowing bacteria to attack the lungs. In hindsight, memory resulted in irrational actions. The declaration of COVID 19 as a pandemic by the World Health Organization (WHO) on March 10, 2020, and India's nationwide lockdown that followed set off one of the biggest migrations in human history as people fled cities in fear of what was perceived widely as an urban disease, only to find that the virus pursued them to their villages. This amnesia was global. To illustrate, the WHO, which is mandated to declare pandemics, did so in respect of H1N1 in 2009, but that came to be seriously questioned because it turned out to be unusually mild, and scrutiny focused on pharmaceutical industries which benefited from the production and sale of vaccines. The severe acute respiratory syndrome SARS, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus MERS CoV, and Ebola did spark pervasive alarm, but casualties were relatively few and the incidence of infections was localized. The 2020 pandemic caused worldwide contagion and the precipitous loss of lives and livelihood. By the end of 2021, several advanced economies may have reached or exceeded pre pandemic levels of output, but middle income emerging economies have suffered large losses of output, which the heaviest burden falling on low income countries. This pandemic is also noteworthy for the unprecedented policy response mounted by governments and central banks. The IMF estimates that since March 2020 and up to October 2021, US dollar 16.9 trillion or 16.4% of global GDP had been pledged as fiscal support in response to the pandemic, with US dollar 14.5 trillion provided by advanced economies AEs and US dollar 2.4 trillion provided by emerging market economies EMEs, including the least developed countries. The total monetary support was US dollar 19.0 trillion, or 18.4% of global GDP, US dollar 16.1 trillion by A each, and US dollar 2.9 trillion by EM each. What guided this once in a lifetime policy response, given the collective oblivion that I talked about earlier? It was the global financial crisis of 2008. Typically, in crises of global proportions, it is governments or fiscal policy that assume a vanguard role, while central banks, known for their conservativeness and preference for the back office, play a supportive role as lenders of the last resort. Thank you.